As was mentioned before, when placing accidentals onto notes, to affect notes, the accidental should always be placed just to the left of the note so we read into it. So G sharp, E flat, F sharp, being the treble clef. We're going to talk about stacking accidentals now. And I'm going to start with dyads, because with single notes, I think we understand that concept that you just place the accidental to the left, and we talked a little bit about courtesy accidentals and cautionary accidentals. Stacking accidentals is a bit different, and a lot of people have a lot of confusion when it comes to these, especially when the chords or the harmonic structures get fairly dense. It can be very misleading. Most people don't even understand that there is actually a priority order of how one should stack accidentals when writing chords like this. So please pay close attention to this one. I'm also going to include an excerpt from my page that explains a bit more comprehensively about how one should pursue all of these, especially when the harmonies get larger than dyads. Dyads are fairly simple, so we're going to start here. But when we get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 note structures and things like that, this can be pretty messy. But there is a protocol as to how to follow this, and I'll include that so you can take it right from the video. It's also obviously in my book, and one could have it printed right there. So if the two notes in the dyad are the interval of a seventh or greater, octave, ninth, tenth, etc., then the accidental should be placed in direct alignment like we have here. And that's true regardless of what type of accidental we have. So whether one of the notes is sharp or flat, or they're both the same, or one's double sharp, or even some of those strange accidentals that I wanted to circumvent entirely, still, the procedure is the same. They need to be in direct alignment with each other. So let's use sharps on this one, I guess. I'll use a B sharp right here. And then when placing the accidental on the C beneath, direct alignment. So the object is to really get the accidentals as close to the notes as possible within reason. Don't overlap them. Make them legible, but not far away. And that's going to be true as we continue to stack the other ones as well, to try to get the most consolidated arrangement. And the procedure for this, following the procedure, should help you to do so. Rarely you may find some that are somewhat questionable, but if you follow the procedure, it should really take care of you. So let's put flats on these ones. Always start at the top. My suggestion anyway is to start at the top, topmost note, and then in direct alignment. So what we don't want is something like this. I don't want to offset these because that would be not very legible. They should be in direct alignment with each other, if at all possible. I'll put sharps on these ones, and why not? How about some naturals, just for good measure. Direct alignment with each other. So when the dyads are comprised of notes that are at least the interval of a seventh or greater, regardless of how great they actually are, pretty far apart there, we can align the octaves and should align the, not octaves, accidentals in direct alignment with each other. And finally, when stacking dyads with intervals less than a seventh, or in other words, if the two notes of the interval, or if the two notes are the interval of a sixth or less, then the lower accidental should be offset to the left. So always, again, start at the top. Let's say I'm going to put some flats on these two notes right here. I'm going to start at the top and give my E an E flat, but the bottom one is a G. This is a sixth below the E flat. So I can't put it in direct alignment. Yes, I could write it smaller, and people do, and I see it all the time. I need to grade papers like that frequently. Don't do that because that's grammatically inaccurate, musically speaking. So it's not just set directly to the beneath, it's offset to the left just a little bit, like so, to make the room. If you were on a standard piece of paper and writing these at correct size, you would have to do this. Music notation programs are typically programmed to do this accurately. On occasion they may not, but they're designed to do this accurately. The opposite here would be wrong. So what you don't want is to do the bottom one first and offset the top. This is inaccurate. And if you do these any way you want to, rather than following the rules, the reading of this can become very odd. It can become very difficult and laborious, even though it shouldn't be. So following these rules can make these things so much simpler. It's what you've probably seen before. At least I hope it is what you've seen before, because if it isn't, then the copyist did a poor job. Probably, barring the particular situation you're looking at. Sometimes there are some exceptions to these rules, and there's typically a good reason for it. But by knowing these rules, it can significantly help you to create very good, readable documents and help you to have a good understanding of the concepts of music and how to convey your ideas, even more importantly. So let's start at the top on this one. Let's give these ones sharps. I'm going to start with an F sharp, starting with the top again. Can't place the sharp directly in alignment on the B right here because it's a sixth or less interval-wise. It's a fifth beneath. So I'm going to offset that to the left. Here, I start at the top, offset to the left. This is kind of a tricky one here. We've got a second. Let's say I'm going to give a sharp to the F and a flat to the E. Well, that's fine. I have to offset. This is about as close as I can get the F comfortably, I think. But rather than trying to cram this E in right here, or I don't know where, the flat needs to be offset to the left. That's probably a bit more obvious, especially now. And same here. I'll do the same formula. G gets the sharp. Let's give a sharp to the F, actually. Change my mind. So just offset to the left. Flat and a natural. How about that? Let's go with natural on the E, sharp on the C. Doesn't matter what the accidentals are literally, just so long as they follow the pattern that the top one gets as close as it can to the note in question, and the bottom one, if it's a sixth or less, has to be offset to the left. Also too, which I didn't mention in the videos yet, try to keep the center of your accidental in direct alignment with the note in question. What you don't want is to give this D a D flat, park it up there somewhere because it's kind of close to that and that one. This is pretty bad. This is kind of saying there's an E flat somewhere, there isn't, and probably a G flat somewhere, there isn't. So if this is what I did, that's pretty poor. So let's say I wanted flats on these. Try to get the center of the flat in line with the D itself, and this B, same way, something like that. My writing does leave a lot to be desired here, I'll admit it. But what we want to try to do is keep them in alignment as best you can. So this is how we do dyads. We had the ones a seventh or greater, and now we've seen the ones a sixth or less. And the next step of these still incorporates these ideas. It's just that as the notes get larger, as these harmonies or these stackings get larger, we have to add some other systems to the program.